Welcome to another day in the life of TLE. Um, Today I'm just going to talk about a little randomness of life and some of the things that I encountered as I journeyed through this whole cancer, chemo, sickness thing. Today I'm going to talk about the fact that I have a port in my body. And there has been this device there for probably 15 months now. And I remember when they were talking about installing it, and another scary time because if you have watched any of the previous videos, you may have learned that I had never been sick before. I very seldom gotten a cold in life, here and there. But sickness and things of that nature, I just never really had to deal with. Never been hospitalized. I was hospitalized once when I was about 4 years old for sticking a tack in my ankle. But other than that, I've never been hospitalized or had any other problems. And so to go through life for 30 something years without any health issues or concerns, to now being diagnosed with cancer and in the process of starting treatment, chemotherapy, that was a lot to swallow and accept. And so I remember when they were getting ready to install the port device, I remember asking how long, would I have to have this thing in my body? And so originally the hematologist said that I think she said 6 or 7 months because I was supposed to do chemo for 6 months and then be done. But she said ordinarily they leave it in for another month or two afterwards, just in case they need to do more blood work or anything happen that's unforeseen or perhaps foreseen, just routine visits or whatever. So now it has been twice as long and I still have this, device in my body. And sometimes I just think about it like, wow, I still have this in my body. And clearly nothing is guaranteed. And even though the doctors give you timelines for things, it may or may not happen. And so most of the things and the timelines that I was given thus far has not happened, and here I am. So I guess the next thing I'll talk about is the personal shame or sorrow that I felt when I would have to introduce myself or be introduced to different doctors or people on the team, whether it was social workers or nurses or whomever, and they would ask me about support and family. And while I have a pretty large family and I know a lot of people, my support team was just not up to par as far as the people that I would have ordinarily thought that I would be able to rely on. So I remember listening to Robin Roberts one day, and she was talking about creating what you didn't have. So if you didn't have a family or a friend or a support group, if you didn't have that, then she was saying that, it's okay to create it in blood, or family doesn't always mean that you're blood or whatever the case may be. And I don't have any ill feelings at this point with anyone, but I did have some expectations, and my expectations definitely were not met. I would say I am to blame for a part of that because I didn't always communicate every single need or desire. I just expected that. And so needless to say, I was disappointed at times, and I had to get over that, and I had to move on in order not to carry a burden of bitterness and just extra weight. And so, even so, when I meet new people or when people inquire, it's always a sore spot for me because I don't think there's a correct, I don't think so far I haven't learned the correct response, or I haven't learned the response that would make me feel okay after saying it. So far I haven't been able to accomplish that, and so it's always an awkward moment for me. And so today I went to a new dentist, and of course you have to fill out the medical portion of the application or form or whatever it is that they give you when you are a new patient. And so she saw that I had put an X in the cancer spot, and so of course she was taken by that, and I'm not really sure why she was so taken by it, but she was definitely taken by it. And she had a seat, and so she started asking me all these questions about, what type of cancer, what happened, how did I know, just normal questions that people would probably have. And as I was answering the questions, certain things came up, and of course the question of support and family. I'm not really sure why that always comes up, but it does, and I'm never ready for it. So that happened, and I guess I'll go into the next thing, spirituality. A lot of people, had asked me or inquired about where I was spiritually. Did I think that I was going to die? Was I upset with God? Things of that nature. And I haven't fully processed everything as it relates to spirituality. The only thing that I could say is that in the beginning, I had a thought, and that thought stayed with me through all of this. And in the beginning, I had one prayer. And so far, that has, my prayer has been honored. So I'm thankful for that. And there are times where I feel like, wow, why now? Not even so much why me, but why now? Like, why did this happen now in the middle of, me trying to recover from other things to have something so big happen? I just thought timing was just so disrespectful to my life and to my setup, but I have no control over that. So that was a reality that I just had to suck it in and keep moving. And there are plenty more that I'm sure that I had to suck in as well. But one of the things that the dentist, and I'm going back a little bit, said to me once I was done talking to her was, "You're not bitter. Wow, you're not bitter." And I was like, "Bitter?" And she's like, "Yeah, based on everything that you told me and everything that you've been through, you're not bitter. I don't sense that you're bitter." And I said, "Thank you," because to me that was a major compliment. And I remember moments where I began to feel bitter or feel angry or whatever the case may be, and I had to really fight to go the other direction, because I believe that bitterness is definitely a choice. You choose to be bitter or you choose not to be bitter. And so I didn't want to go down a bitter road, because that was just something, again, in addition to the burdens that I had to carry alone. And that's with anything in life. I don't want to become that person. I just don't want to be the bitter person. It's too many other things in life to be. So that was a major compliment, and I did thank her for saying that. But back to the spirituality thing, one of the things that happened in the middle of all of this too, I was transitioning from my church, not even intentionally. Life circumstances happened, and I ended up in a different city on the other side of town. I wasn't able to drive my car, so it was quite a few things that happened that separated me from that body of believers. And so that was major to me. There were so many things, and I'll get into more of that because I realized this is going to be a very long conversation. But um, so I would say there was times that my faith was strong, and there are times when my faith was just like, I need to be resuscitated right now. So there was a variety of waves when it comes to faith. And so another thing that I remember, which was very comforting through all of this, I remember Robin Roberts saying that when someone asked her if she was angry with God, I don't remember if she said yes, but I want to say maybe she did say yes, and then she said, but he can handle it. And so that was comforting to me, because sometimes people will have you to believe that, if you're upset with God, that's the wrong thing, or if you ask questions, because I was always told that you don't ask God questions. And so I went through too many things in life that I have questions about, and I'm like, well, if I don't ask God, who do I ask? Who will be able to answer these questions other than God? And so as I began to branch into feeling more secure and okay with questioning things, and also being okay with who I was and what I believe God was doing or not doing, or whatever it was, because I feel like it's my business, and that's, no one else have the right to speak on that. That's between me and God. And so while I feel that way, there are a lot of people who feel that it's their responsibility to call me or correct me or check me or scare me or whatever the case may be into doing what they feel that I should be doing. And so I'll talk more about that. I did receive a call today that it actually did upset me for a second, and I felt like this person was very judgmental and wasn't really wanting to listen, but more so wanting to condemn me to hell, or I don't know. It was just things like that is always hurtful, because it's like you go through what you're going through and you feel like you're going through it a lot of times by yourself, and then to have people, especially spiritual people, to make you feel bad or attempt to make you feel bad about not having perfect attendance or not being strong or not being what they feel like you should be. And I think it's very easy for people to say you should have perfect attendance, or you should believe in God and you should do this. And I think it's very easy for people to say that, but when you haven't been in a person's shoes, or you haven't had the challenges that they've had, sometimes it's just amiss to make certain comments, even though you may or may not believe what the individual is doing is right. I still think you should be really careful. And so my final thought on that is that sometimes the devil uses the people of God, if you would allow me to say that. And that's just my humor in that, because you don't want to look at these people like, they're not good people. Sometimes they just say the wrong thing, and it's not always helpful. And I've ran into that a lot. But I'm going to stop here because I'm getting ready to make dinner, and I don't want to make these videos too long. But I will continue with the next video, and I will start by bringing up this last thought about, being careful and making sure you guard your ears and your heart, because as you journey through treatment and transition through all of this, people will say some very, very stupid stuff, very mean stuff, very ignorant stuff, and very immature stuff. And I don't think it's intentional, most of it. It's just ignorance and a lack of empathy at times too. So I'll get into that on the next video. Thank you for listening. I hope that someone had a moment in here where they connected with me. All right, bye.